Welcome to my film review for Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Now, what did I think of this? Well, I think if I was a teenager, I think this is a really good film. I think that's kind of the target audience, but at the same time, I also feel it's a little bit confused who they're aiming at, because in the UK, it is rated as a 12, but I think that ruined it a little bit. I think they've held back, because all the way through it, right from the very beginning, that it's got subtle sexual undertones. It's there. You see Sergeant Lorraine in quite a skimpy outfit to begin with, and you see quite a lot of her body, and then all the way through there's other mild sexual hints, like when Valerian goes into the pleasure city and stuff, and there's women there who are obviously prostitutes and stuff. And then there's other bits where there's violence which has been dialed back, and there's bits where he's got some swords or blades or something, he's stabbing some bad aliens, and there's other violent bits, but it's all been held back. And I feel what's happened is the film studio has dumbed everything down to reduce it from what could have been a good 15 to a stupid 12. Imagine if, say, Logan had been dumbed down and all the violence had been cut out of it. Everyone's saying it would have been a bad film like that, but as it is, everyone's saying that's one of the best films out there. And I think that's kind of what they've done here. It's kind of if I feel like there were two people arguing with each other over the direction of what they want the film. Do they want the film to be have some violent action sequences, with the knives and stuff, and the fight sequences to be realistic, and then the slight sexual hints and references and to be a bit more explicit? Or do they want to make it a child's film, so they dumb everything down and it ruins it? And I feel that's what's happened here, because it's obvious. The things, they're so obvious, because Valerian, they talk about Valerian's playlist right from the beginning, how many women he's been with, and they're talking about things like that, and it just feels confused as to what their target audience is. Because okay, 12-year-olds today, they may understand what the references are to his playlist, and they may understand the references to the prostitutes and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, why, if you've got all that in there, then why don't you just have it in there as it should be? It's he goes to see one of these pleasure girls played by Rihanna, who plays a character called Bubble, and again that's all really dumbed down to just be sort of not very sexual, when the undertones of it are obviously it's a sexual place, because she's obviously managed by a pimp. And it's well, I just feel it's confused as to who they're trying to get the target audience to. And film studios have done this a lot. They have a film, and they just dumb everything down to make it available to everyone, to get the age certificate down, and it ruins the film. And to be honest, this film reminded me why I started doing film reviews of independent films, because then they know who they're aiming at. They don't have a committee saying, oh, let's do it like this, no, let's do it like that, and then it's neither. It's not there are elements that aren't so much a child's film, but then it's not really a teen film or an adult film, and it feels confused. Whereas the independent films, which I like to review and will be going back to, because I think after watching this one, I'm going to stop doing cinema reviews for a while. I'm going to find some decent independent ones, because I don't know, it just didn't, it felt it lacks direction. Visually, it is a very stunning film. The visual effects were amazing. That was one of its big selling points, was all the visuals and the effects, and that was done well. I feel when they filmed it, they must have had an awful lot of green screen, but it's put together well. I think that's going to stand up the test of time. A lot of films that you look at, it's got a lot of CGI. After a few years, it does kind of look dated, but I feel this will stand up to the test of time. So visually, and the graphics and the cinematics of it is all very nice. It's wonderful, and I really liked that. I think Cara Delevingne was a superb choice. She was casted very well, played her part very well. Her character was believable. I believed everything about her. I think she was spot on. 10 out of 10 for her. She absolutely nailed the role, I think. The way she delivered the lines, her acting, just everything about her was very, very believable, and I liked her. However, I didn't believe Dane DeHaan's portrayal of Valerian. He was supposed to be like this. He's a major in the government army thing, and he's supposed to be able to do all these amazing, athletic stunts and super soldier type thing. And I didn't believe it. I really didn't. I just felt like they should have chose a different actor. The whole way through, I just felt like it just didn't work for me. And I know whenever I do a film review and I say things aren't very good and I point out criticisms, people don't like it and they give me a thumbs down. But this is my opinion, okay? I didn't think he was the right choice for the actor. I think they should have used someone else who would have portrayed a much better Major. He just seemed too young to me. I looked up the age of the actor, and he's 31 years old. So he should really be old enough, I suppose, to pull off the role. But I just felt it just didn't work for me. It's not his fault he's got like a baby face or anything, but I just felt that it just didn't work for me personally. I felt they should have used someone else, and I just found him a little bit irritating. And contrast next to Cara, who played the role so well and was so well cast, I just felt the contrast there didn't work very well, and I felt, again, his character lacked direction. Like, there's a scene near the end and he's realising that the government's been lying to him and they're corrupt and stuff, and he's been following orders which have turned out to be wrong, and then suddenly he's like, oh no, we have to keep this item. I won't tell you what it is, that will spoil the film. And then it's like, and then they have this big discussion and argument about what's right and wrong and love and all that, and then eventually he gives in. And I was just thinking, I just felt that whole scene just seemed out of place. It's like they wanted his character just to switch around just so they could put that discussion in. And there's a few other little points that bugged me. It's really stupid, I'm being really, really picky here, but right at the very, 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 very beginning, there's a scene in the space station, and the actor, I don't even know who he is, he's only in it for like a minute right at the very beginning. It's not important to the storyline, but he's supposed to be in an environment without gravity, and he's doing the classic, I'm going to wave my arms in the air like this to simulate no gravity. And it's like, no, sorry, we're beyond that, okay? 20, 30 years ago, maybe you could get away with that, but now, no, there's no excuse for that kind of lack of skill. And right at the very, very end as well, again, they're in a capsule which clearly shouldn't have any gravity, and yet they seem to be standing okay. So, and then there's another bit, the whole reason the space station's moved out to become this city is because it's too heavy to stay in Earth's orbit. And I'm thinking, well, just raise the orbit, speed it up a bit, and then problem solved. But then they have to move it away into the stars, and just, okay, so they needed to do that, otherwise there would be no story, there would be no film. But again, just scientifically, I just think, well, that just seems dumb to me. It's like the moon is like way heavier, and that seems to sustain a perfectly good orbit, so what's the problem? I found myself ungripped by it. The story, in one sense, is quite original. It's like they're on a space station in the middle of space, but yeah, he's a major in the army, in the government, and then he's going to the space station, but apparently he doesn't know anything about it, even though he's a major. So he asks the ship's computer to describe it to him, what's going on there, which is fine, because basically that's telling the viewer what happens there and how big it is and how many people live there. It's not actually vitally important to the storyline, but it does give you a sense of scale of the place, which is fine. They needed a way to communicate that to the viewer, but I felt, well, actually they could have done it a better way, because isn't it pretty obvious that if he's a major in the government army, then he would have known about this place already. It just seems kind of stupid that he wouldn't have known about it. So I think they could have portrayed it to the viewer in a slightly better way, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, that was a little bit of an issue. Another little bug. The storyline wasn't really original. You had somebody high up in the army. He's done something wrong, he's trying to cover it up. The people down below don't realise, they're just blindly following orders. They realise the orders are stupid, and then somebody else goes on an investigation to figure it out, and then the person tries to kill everyone who knows what he's done wrong, and then good things happen. And I was thinking, I've seen this before. This has been done countless times. It's not original, and I never felt any sense of peril. Although, you know, every so often the two main characters, they get into peril and they have to rescue each other, and the other one gets into peril and then they have to be rescued. And at no point did I actually ever think, oh no, what's going to happen? Ugh. I felt no suspense, because it's the type of film where it's so obvious they're both going to end up fine at the end, which they do. And I'm not even going to say that's a spoiler, because it's just so obvious by the nature of the film. Plus, if they want to have any sequels, because obviously the comic went on for a while, and they're going to probably want to make a sequel after this, because they've spent a lot of money on it, and then they're going to want to get the money back, and then hopefully make more. But it's kind of, you knew how it was going to end. It just never showed any. I just never really felt, oh no, what's going to happen? I suppose maybe if I'm young and I haven't seen lots of other films or programs, I might be thinking, oh no, what's going to happen? How are they going to get out of this one? But I never felt that, and I felt this pacing of the story was fine. Even though it plodded from one bit to the next bit to the next bit to the next bit, and it had lots of different elements in it. And you know, they had space scenes, underwater scenes, and they had desert scenes. And I thought the thing with like the market. There's a market at the beginning, which is in another dimension. I thought it was clever the way they did it, but I also thought it was unnecessary. Because, again, that kind of thing has been done before. You know, you've got people walking through a market and they're trying to reobtain stolen goods. And obviously that's been done to death. So they put a different element onto it where the market's in a different dimension. And it's clever but unnecessary. So, yeah, all in all, I know I've sounded like I put it down on it. I think if I was a teenager, I might enjoy it and think it was a good film, and I might even request it for Christmas, but I'm not. And although having this sort of thing, in some respects it is very original and very new, in other respects I've seen it all before. It's a good film, but at the same time there's a lot that's not good with it. But I mean, I think a lot of people watch this and disagree with me and think it was the best film ever and they absolutely loved it, but that's fine. And there is a lot of originality in it, but also there's a lot that isn't original, and there's a lot. I suppose there's only so many original things you can have, but I suppose it did, as I said at the beginning, this reminded me why I started doing independent film reviews and why I'm going to stop doing cinema films reviews for a while and go back to the independent films. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. You can't, I mean, as I say, you know how it's going to end. The good guys win, the bad guys lose, and there we go. It's your classic Hollywood film. Alright, if you like this, please subscribe, click like. If you didn't like this, which I'm sure some of you won't, click the thumbs down, doesn't bother me. If you'd like to support me in making more videos, I do have a Patreon. I've had it for a while, but I haven't really mentioned it at all. But obviously making videos costs money, so I'm going to start talking about that on the end of all my videos now. So I do have one. If you'd like to support me, help me make more videos, that would be great. If not, then don't worry, and I will see you soon. Bye.